it's real, like, oh, out here in the streets.
Practically sitting here. Okay. Hi everyone, this is take 2. We've tried this before, but no. So I'm here today with Lateef. Lateef and I have been practicing some yoga mobility sessions together, and I wanted to introduce him to you and just kind of ask you a couple of questions.
Cool.
And we're gonna start right away with where do we do our sessions usually?
At our studio, Elite Evolution, Hackney Wick. So that's run by my cousin and two of his business partners. So the business we've run for about 10 years right now. We moved to Hackney Wick about 5 years ago. Oh, not 5 years ago, about 4 years ago. So if you ever want a gym that is local to you, come to Elite Evolution.
Hackney Wick, and it's 24 hours, isn't it?
24 hours, man.
So you can go and train, no excuses, 24 hours. You have
3 a.m.,
access to
you're
space.
stressed, come and train.
Come and train, let it out. Cool.
Then go back to bed.
And then go back to bed. So we got to know each other when it was
Lockdown.
Shit, yes. So
Still
around,
lockdown.
I think maybe May, April
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So we live in around the same area,
Yep.
and then I would go outside daily, pretty much,
Yep.
to go and find a spot where I can do my practice. And the way I practice, I usually need some surface that doesn't scratch me up when I lay down and stuff. So I went to this little basketball court
Yep.
and did my practice. And how it is usually for me, when I practice, I'm very much in my zone, and it doesn't really matter what happens around me because I'm really present
zone.
in what I'm doing. And also have my earpods in usually.
Can't hear nothing.
Yeah. And then one day you was there,
Yeah.
and then I walked off
Yeah.
with my music in my ears still. You ran after me and you're like, oh hey, so you practice yoga and what do you do? You asked me a couple of questions.
Yeah.
And where were you at with your training at that point, or what made you like?
I mean,
come up to
I
me?
think I literally just started watching YouTube videos. So at that point, I was just I think during lockdown, everyone kind of developed a new thing, and yoga happened to be that one of those things. And I was always skeptical about yoga in a way. There's always that little stigma about yoga, that it's spiritual, it's that. But then I was just practicing just for the stretching. So it was early days, and I remember one day I just came to the park. I normally train, and I'll do some stretch, and I saw it, and I'm just like, who is like? But you made it look so effortless, and it was flowing, and for me, that was interesting. It didn't feel like it was a routine. It just felt like you was just in tune with your body. Like, I mean, people were looking at you, but like you said, you were zoned out. You didn't even know who was around, and for me, that was kind of like interesting kind of thing. And yeah, so at that point, it was early stages for me, man. And it was just nice to just connect, because I was like, I have to say hello. I have got to say something to her straight away. So that's how it started.
Yeah, I really like that. That's cool. And also, so at this point, you were doing it from YouTube.
I was doing it from
videos.
YouTube, so every day I'll probably do like a 30 minutes video,
Yeah.
20-minute video, which was kind of hard for
Yeah.
someone that was just starting to sit there for
Yeah.
20 minutes and do something that hurts, that you don't really know the full technique to it. But it was hard, but you kind of just get disciplined as time goes on.
So from then on, I think we saw each other again at
Yeah.
the park as
Yep,
well,
yep.
and then we exchanged contacts, and
Yep,
you were
yep.
like, oh, could we actually do some sessions?
We
Because
did.
you're a personal trainer as well,
Yep,
so you
yep.
have clients, and during lockdown you would do sessions outside.
Yep.
And you were like, well, I have like maybe 2 or 3
That wanna do
people
something
that
as
would
well.
want to join in. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So
Yeah.
we did like a little session at the park.
Yep.
2 times maybe, I think.
Twice, yeah.
Twice at the park. And from then I went away because you were ready to start practicing like all the time.
You had to
with
go.
me.
You had to go away.
Yeah. I had to go away for a while, and since then we've just kind of been in touch and
Yeah.
like obviously seeing each other's work outside of the
Oh,
training as well.
absolutely,
I'm like, oh,
absolutely.
sick.
This person is serious.
Yeah. But yeah, then now I'm back here as well, and we kind of like, I was like, let's pick it up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like for me it's important when I know someone's genuinely into it and interested,
Yeah.
that I'm like open to start sharing.
Yeah.
And with you, obviously, I felt that. So one thing that you said, or let me ask you a little bit about your training background so we know
Yeah.
where you come from.
Well, I play football, I do boxing, but it's just so much. I like core exercise. I'm a fitness person, if that makes sense. I mean, like you said, I do personal training, but most personal trainers, I feel like I'm kind of different from most personal trainers in terms of I'm never much so what you look like, it's more so what you feel. So if I feel nice, if my body feels nice, and I think that was why I actually liked the idea of yoga is you just feel like you're in control of your body. You know, the more you do weights, I don't like weights. I'm not a big fan of weights, but you have to do them for strengthening purpose and feel things out. I'm also more so of a fitness inside kind of training person, so that's what excites me more as far as training goes anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely where we are aligned as well. Because for me, it's amazing to do training for aesthetics if that's your goal.
Yeah.
But if you're, overall, from my philosophy is so much like to move away from the outer like perception of how you look and really tune into the inner experience of how things feel, and then also thinking about longevity of your training and like vitality down the line when you're getting older and being able to do what you want to do.
You know, I'm trying to bend down when I'm like 40. So it's like, I can't grab that. Exactly that.
But I wanted to know, there was one thing that you once said when we kind of said you started off your journey and then you met me.
Yeah.
And then I shared with you a different approach maybe to the practice.
Yeah.
Would you be open to elaborate on that? Not to big myself up, but
I think like I've tried it with a few other people and I've watched online, but I think for me it was just more so it was more of a lifestyle for you. It was a lifestyle and it was just how you did it. Like I said, it was so effortless. You made it look easy, but I know it wasn't easy. That was the crazy part. You did stretching. I'm thinking, how is she doing that? Well, she's making it look like it's normal. So I remember when I had a conversation with you, you didn't try and rush anything. You was like, we need to understand the concept of things. And for me, that was interesting because you was like, once you understand this, then you're good. Instantly, I was like, that's what it is. Whereas before I was doing it for the sake of, I just need to stretch, I just need to do that. But the moment you kind of said that, it just changed how I thought about yoga. It's like, understand the concept of it, understand why you're doing it. Be in that moment. You don't have to go all the way, but if you're not getting the stretch, what's the point? So I think that moment instantly just changed what everyone else is told. Like I said, I was so skeptical about yoga, like, I'm gonna stay away from it. But like the way you just said it and the way you move, I think it's more so action than words. It's easier for someone to tell you, do this. Just like personal trainer. If you have a personal trainer that keeps saying to you, do this, but they don't do it. Then it gets to a point where, don't tell me to do it. You don't even know how to do it. You don't know what it feels like. But it's more so you practice with Twitch. And it's like, you can do it. Like, look, I'm doing it. Yes, it's taking me years to practice it, but I'm doing this. I'm letting you know your body can do it. So that also just changed. I was like, cool, I'm locked in now. Yeah. I have to do it for P.
You have to do it for yourself. I'll be there.
I do it for P. I was like, P, look. So 9 times when I do things, I'm like, P, look, I just did this. Like, are you proud of me? It's like, yeah, good work.
I love that. I love that I was able to support you in switching the perspective and the approach to it of like going. That's kind of my thing when I train with people. It's like you can do so much stuff when you could stick with like a couple of movements and really understand what is happening, and they can help you improve so much of what you might want to experience, as in like feeling more spacious in your body, feeling lighter. So less in the beginning is definitely more, and understanding, like sometimes I speak about these anchor points and where the energy goes through your body, where you take it from to make it effortless, as you said. So I think these are these little concepts where I realized working with a lot of people that want to get into it, but they feel like small concepts can take you a long way, to really, number one, stay dedicated as well, to feel like, there is something in there for me. And number two, you just intentionally do something. If you know why you're doing it, it's easier to stick to it and feel like, I'm actually tracking this progress. I feel better in my body.
I think most people just a bit more, people justify not doing things. Obviously, like a conversation we had today, and I think with you, it's more so you either want to do it or you don't want to do it. And I kind of get that. I always get that vibe from him. I'm very, very similar. I'm the same person. I'm like, we're either gonna do this properly, or we just don't do it at all. Opposed to just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think with you, I'm also, look, dedicate yourself to it. It's a lifestyle. It's not a thing of where you just feel like doing it. This has to be your lifestyle. When, you know, even now when I'm doing push-ups, like I push my fingers all to the floor, because it's just that mentality of you apply it to everything. You know what I'm trying to say. So I think that's what it comes down to, really. It's that plays a big part in it anyway.
That makes me actually so happy that you say that, because you haven't told this to me before, but exactly when you're like doing other stuff in your training or outside of training, and you can just relate it back to some of these principles and concepts that we speak about, it just it enhances the quality of everything else that you're doing.
Definitely.
And how you move through life and stuff.
100%.
What is something where you feel like you were apprehensive with getting into it yourself?
Yeah.
So how do you feel like it's a bit of a problem how yoga is presented to us that makes us feel like, and especially maybe as a man, you know? And like,
I mean, if we want to first speak about the obvious one, as a guy, it's looked as very, very feminine.
Yeah.
Like, I've got friends that I stopped playing football on Sundays to do yoga, and they hate it. What are you doing? What do you do? And I'm like, I need to look after my body.
Yeah.
Football, I'm like, I need to. Football damages my body in a certain extent, as much as it helps my fitness, but at the same time it damages. And I think that's where the difference is, where it can help you, but it also damages. One can help and just help. Yoga just helps and helps. There's no damage in it, if that makes sense. Where with football, yes, there's fitness there, but there's a lot of damage in that as well. So you kind of have to balance it out. So that perspective of, it's only women that does it, I think that's kind of wrong. I've said to all my friends, we need it. It's when we start to get to the later stages of life, that's when you're all going to realize that, maybe I should have done some yoga, because now I can't even bend down, I can't sit down, your back starts to hurt. And like I said before, the spiritual part of it, you know, because I've got friends that are Christians or Muslim, and they feel like when you do yoga, it's kind of like a spiritual power that you're going to. And because I'm not a religious person like that, I can understand that I think everything is channeled by powers anyway. It's just what you channel to. Now forget that practice, forget that person, what that person believes in. It's what you believe in, it's what you're there at that moment. So whatever you need to channel into, it's just you're channeling into yourself essentially. So when people are like, oh my God, I'm like, not really. You're sitting there with your mind, your conscience, and whatever is with you. That's all you're doing. So if you're scared of a power, then you're probably scared of a power that's within you, kind of thing. So that's how I look, and I think that the spiritual part of it kind of makes people a little bit more, I don't want to do it, means I'm believing in another God. I'm like, not really, but I guess everyone has different views on that. So 9 times out of 10 we're just like,
but cool. That's definitely something that has come up in your circle.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, even with that, again, like yoga as a concept and as a philosophy is such a universal concept, and you can apply it to whatever God you believe in, and you be, you know, if you want to take it there, it's being channeled. But if you're someone who doesn't even connect to that and spiritually, you can start, like, I think most people come to it really for the physical benefits, and have a different type of training than what they usually have. But down the line, if you start to understand certain concepts that not even have to do anything necessarily spiritually, but just experiencing the benefits of sitting down, doing things more with deeper awareness, it starts to shift things in you and how you move, again, through life, not just in the training, but it's like, you can be more aware of things that are happening. You're able to step back more and look at things and not react immediately. So if you come for it in the first place for the physical, I think down the line, if you're dedicated to the practice, it will unfold. Everything kicks in. However, I respect and can understand if people are like, it's too spiritual. I think
everyone just needs to have their own little experience with it. Because like I said, for me, it's like everything you just said is so true. I think since I started doing it in a way, I can see so much difference, even in how I think, how I see things, how I think. Like, I don't sit on things longer no more. Like something just annoys me or something, I just like, it just comes in and I just let it go. It's like, there's nothing I can do with that. Like if I'm doing a stretch and I can't go further, I don't stress myself. I'm like, you know what, this is where I am today. tomorrow I might be better. I'm literally like that with everything. Like that. Okay, cool. This is stressing me out. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
If I keep thinking about this, I'm just gonna get stressed out some more. That's solving nothing. Cool. How do we fix that? How do we resolve that? And I say that to every single person. That it's essentially just being in tune with yourself. That's literally. It's hard to explain it until you experience it. Because I've had times where I've gone to a class and I'm just like zoned out.
Yeah.
Like I had so much in my mind and I just chilled, zoned out, and came out and I just had clarity. Like instantly just felt like, oh, I know what to do now. Like my mind just had a chance to just like chill, let everything go. Came back, I just thought with things with a normal mind. But like I said, I think everyone just needs to have their own little, something might just trick them into it and they realize, oh, this is not as bad as people think. It's not even bad at all, but yeah.
And then can I ask you about the representation? Obviously it's very whitewashed the way it's presented and obviously female dominant.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like what is missing as well in representation? Because I have like a strong opinion about that, but obviously.
I don't know. To be fair, I don't think I've ever thought about that deep. Because like I said, I don't think I'm deep into my practice just yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about that. For me, it's just the fact that it's just very, very female. It's a women driven. You know, it's looked at as if you do yoga, you're soft kind of thing. Like,
Well, that is it.
you know what I'm trying to say?
Okay,
It's like what does that mean? You know, that I know people that have got stronger core than you because they do that. I know people that can do more push-ups than you just because they do that. Like, at what point do you think that it's easier? Why don't you try and do that? You know what I'm trying to say? Mentally, people that do this, do you understand how hard it is to just sit down somewhere for an hour and just zone out?
Yeah.
That people don't understand. Do you know how difficult it is? That we live in a world where you can sit down for 5 minutes, you already want your phone because you need something to engage your mind. To sit somewhere for an hour and just zone out, like you said, ignore everything around you, means you're mentally strong, kind of thing. So I think more of that needs to be represented a bit more, and maybe more people will get into it. That's the only thing I can say because, like I said, I'm not deep into it, so I wouldn't know the ins.
And then what about it being quite whitewashed in that sense?
In what sense?
Well, it's obviously more white representation in that field, and people are like, oh, come in. Do you feel welcome in this space, or do you feel like, does that make sense?
I think personality might play a part. Like I'm one of those people. I'm just like, even if I'm not welcome, so I wouldn't know because I just zone out. I'm just there to do my own thing. So how you feel or how someone says something is that's your stress. So every time we've worked, it's always felt calm.
Yeah.
Every time I've gone to a class, it's always been cool and nice. So I don't know. There might be a problem somewhere. I don't know. That's an interesting one though.
Yeah, I think it's more in the overall representation.
Of things.
You know, who are the people that we see on billboards or who?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As in, like, is that inviting?
It's true though, because every time I go to a class, I'm probably like the only black guy there. It's true. Like, it's true. Let me say one. I've never gone to a class where there's been more than 2 black people.
And I'm not saying that there are not. Black
Of course
people,
there are.
like incredible teachers we have around as well, but it's just like it's not necessarily the first thing that we
think of.
So it's also a matter of if we want to invite a wider demographic.
How do we make
that happen?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. My son making some Afro beats or something. Some yoga music. That will bring it in, because you're right. I mean, it is an interesting thing. I think it is one of those things where we have to find a way to. I think that's just one thing I liked about the yoga as well. It's what you gravitate towards, essentially. You know, I think sometimes when you start to advertise too much to try and get a certain market, you kind of lose the essence of it. It's that people are aware of it. You know, people are aware of it. And if you wanna come through, it's just like when I met you, like some of my other friends were training, but they were more so just looking, oh my God, she's doing that. And I was more looking like, oh my God, I want to do that. So it's like, you know, people will look at one thing and just get different thoughts out of it. So it's more so if people can look at it like, I want to be able to do that. You know, I'm always excited about things. When I see something, I'm like, that's amazing. For me, it's always I want to do that. Like, I need to learn how to do that. How are you doing that? And instantly, it's, yo, teach me. And I think it's more so of that. I think that's the only way we change that narrative. If more people decide they want to get their body into that stage. I'm interested. How do we do that? How's that going to be done?
I think it's just like, I feel like hopefully or essentially stuff like this where we can share more, you know, and like also for me I never wanted to be a yoga teacher. It's not
serious.
Yeah, I went to do my training to deepen my own practice and to deepen my own practice, but to also apply these principles and concepts that I've learned into something in how I want to teach, you know, and not necessarily present myself as a yoga teacher. You don't really hear me say that anyway. In that sense.
No, it's true.
You know, I don't present myself in this way, but I obviously honor the lineage. I honor where it comes from.
Yeah.
By that also being said, that it's not just an Indian origin. There's also the African origin of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, for me, to make the point is, I think like just doing this because I'm also like. That's how I want to approach training with people as well. I'm like, look, do you want to learn? Like, let's come and do it. And then me understanding where you come from. If you're more like, I want the physical benefits, that's
then
how I'm
help
going to
you with
bring
that.
you
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
If you're more like someone, oh, can you, like, I feel really overwhelmed in my life. It's like this and this. Then I approach it from a different aspect and tune more into the meditative aspect of it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, how can we bring people and tune more into, I guess, the individual needs of someone, where they're at, and adapt it to that without it being this whole, oh, this is now the yoga thing, you know? It's
Do you think the name changing might help? If it was ever called something else opposed to yoga?
I think the name has been abused anyway.
I agree.
You know, it's a sensitive one.
I agree.
And then at the same time, I don't have the answer. I don't have the solution. Do you know what I mean? I'm always like, I feel quite strongly in having experience with different people coming up to me and asking me what I do and how I do it. And obviously having trained in different disciplines of movement for a long time and understanding how to bring this to a person to benefit them where they're at and where they want to go. Yeah. And part of it is yoga and the mindful awareness of it, you know, and the meditation and way beyond that as well. As you said, it becomes a lifestyle, but I'm not going to put everything onto you. Not like... So when it comes to the name change, for me, I mainly, like, when I say, even I said it, we do session, we practice. I didn't say we do yoga.
I know what you mean.
You know, it's like by sharing more of what I do, giving people a sense of what it is that you might be doing with me.
Got you.
And part of it is yoga, part of it is mobility, part of it is...
It's a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think that does work. That does work. And I think it makes your way of teaching a lot more easier to adapt into. Like, you kind of see it from a realistic point of view, from a realistic place. Just like I said, I think we connect so much on that, on things like that, because even with personal training, I always say to people, like, what is it that you want? What are we trying to achieve it? Are you trying to achieve a lifestyle? Are you trying to, like, I will bring you into my world. This is how I train. You know what I'm trying to say? This is what I do. I can only advise you on things that I put into practice. So, you know, 9 times, oh my God, you train so hard. I'm like, I'm training so hard. I didn't want to be a PT.
See?
I never, like, you can ask my cousin. I never wanted to be a PT. I just enjoyed training, and I used to go to classes. And in the classes, I found out that I was helping people, and people just naturally just gravitated towards me and how I trained, because I trained differently from the normal people. People are like, oh, I want to do 20 push-ups, and I'm like, I don't want to do 20 push-ups because that's not what I'm trying to achieve. I want to do my 10 push-up, but I might add something else to it. I might add a little move that makes it more interesting. And they're like, oh, I like that. How do you do that? And before you knew it, I started doing less training. And it's like, oh, you should be a PT. I don't know. I don't want to get paid for helping people, if that makes sense. I was like, I didn't. But then it became a joke. I was like, I can do this. I can do this as a job.
But
So
essentially, that is the best job to have.
It-
A job that you help or you support
It
someone
doesn't
else
feel
on
like
their
work.
journey. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm training with my clients because it's
Yeah.
for me. It's like, oh my god, you're having all the fun. I want to have fun too.
Yeah.
So you know, but
I'm joking.
you know, come on, like, you're having all the fun. But then it's more easier because you feel better because I'm like that person goes home,
Yeah.
they feel better. They've learned something based on what you've given, and I think that's the most. And like I said, that's what I always get from you anyway when we do sessions. That I feel like, oh, I've learned something new today. I've gained something else. Like, oh, that's a new thing. That's a new thing. Oh, that's how you think. That's how you're seeing things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. You have to be able to just let go of everything and just see where that person is coming from, and then you can then embody that and then get into your right routine. Anyway, should I say?
Yeah.
So I think so. Interesting.
Cool. Well, there's so much more we could talk about.
Absolutely. We'll have to do like part 2 or something.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see if this video is coming out good.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It does.
But yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Thank you.
And we're gonna record some of the session that we're doing with like.
Don't laugh at me.
No. It's
But
never
they
that.
will. Maybe not you, but they will laugh at me. They'll be like, ah, okay.
No. Get your ass in here. Get your ass in here.
Yeah, let's see if you can do it.
Yeah,
for real.
But thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
Well, it's a pleasure.
definitely.
Look forward to watching it. Adios.